Welcome to Dominate Your Day, Jen. I'm so excited to have you here.
I am very excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You are one of those people that when I met you, I went, oh my goodness, this story has to get out, and I want to make sure that people hear your story. When they look at you from the outside, they'd say, oh my gosh, she's got it all together.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you one thing you couldn't see about yourself that everyone else could.
Oh my gosh. Well, I definitely don't feel like I have it all together. But I do have a desire to not only have it all together, but just have meaning and purpose in my life. And gratitude for just every day that I am alive because my story basically started with um, the facing my death with stage 4 cancer. So it
Mm.
turned my entire life around. I still don't feel like I have everything all together, but I definitely have just the resilience of showing up and just being okay with whatever it is.
So take us back um, to this moment when you realized something needed to change. You found out you were going to die. I mean, my goodness. Um,
Yeah.
and then, wow, what
Oh,
happened?
so I will share the whole caboot. Uh,
Yes.
for stage 4 cancer, I had been a newlywed. Like I was so excited. Well, let me even take you back before then. I grew up in New York City and I was a gymnast training for the Olympics. And I left home at 14, was on the United States national team. I was on en route of getting to the Olympics. Blew out my knee, had major knee surgery, and ended up, recovering, getting back into gymnastics and finishing my gymnastics career in college, but not at the Olympics. Then I ended up in California, was an actor, singer songwriter, a yoga teacher, just kind of like feeling out really where I wanted to be, but also with an extreme desire of my purpose in life is to be a mom. And I didn't want to ever have it with the wrong guy. So I was very happy just not having a child until I met the right guy. Then I met Larry and we get married and I'm so excited because finally everything's coming true. I'm going to have the life that I've dreamed of. And patience worked out. We jump right into IVF, and after 3 rounds of failing from, not getting pregnant and feeling like, one, I'm failing in my purpose, two, there must be something wrong with me, and three, life is punishing me. I
Mm.
must not be worth my dreams coming true. At the same time, I'm married to this awesome guy. I don't want to like bring him down. We get a dog. I'm not super happy inside, but I'm also trying to like move forward and like figure it out with my husband.
Hmm.
I fall in love with the dog. The dog's our little baby. And it's also that is making me sad too, because I look at like if I can love an animal this much, wow, I need to have a child. Then 6 months later, I'm diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and came out of nowhere. I was a healthy yoga teacher, uh, doing all of my exams, my checkups, my mammograms, everything was never showing anything was wrong with me. So it came out of the blue. And my first thought was that one, I can't believe I spent my entire life looking at what I didn't have as opposed to appreciating what I did have.
Mm.
Two, oh my gosh, I'm going to die because life says I didn't fulfill my purpose. I don't belong here anymore. I thought life
Mm.
was taking me out, giving me another try. And that was the scariest feeling because it felt so true and that I deserved to die. And it also made me on my knees begging as a Jewish Catholic Buddhist woman, please, God, please don't let me die and show me to a doctor that could potentially save my life and give me a sign. And if I
Mm.
get to live, I will give back and figure out how to just help the world in some way. And I also promised myself, like, if I do get to live, there's not one day that will go by that I won't appreciate just being alive. How beautiful it is. Just life is a gift. And I went through, those 2 weeks of really believing I was dying, but also looking for signs. I had 3 doctor appointments, 3 different oncologists. The first two felt scary and wrong, and like they didn't believe they could save me, but they were going to treat me the best that they can. I am diagnosed with an incurable disease, so death is the only thing out.
Mm,
Then I
mm,
meet my third oncologist, and he said, I'm not promising you life, but here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do chemo, we're going to do surgery, we're going to do radiation, we're going to do more surgeries, and we will have to end with removing your ovaries. And he said, I'm really sorry, Jen, you're never going to have a baby. I know you wanted to. But I want you to know if you had gotten pregnant, then that pregnancy would have killed you. And
mm,
in that very moment, my entire life transformed from life was never working out to life was working out perfectly. Life had
mm.
been saving my life. And if life has always worked out, life is still always working out. And I always say I walked out of his office seeing cancer as a gift from God.
Wow.
That was my pinch. That was my pinch from the universe.
And what a transformation moment when you shared that you were looking at what you didn't have and how you deserve to die, and then you started just you kind of flipped the whole switch back over to I am so thankful for cancer because now I know how to live. Is that
Yeah,
what I'm hearing?
that is very true. Like, for example, in those beginning months, I I switched my focus from what I didn't have to what I do have. I also lived with the awareness that I believe cancer is a gift that I'm going to be okay from, but I don't know yet. So I know there is a potential, end that is death in the near future. So that drove me to just really find the little things of every day, of every moment, like life. I was only looking for like how to experience the most in life. Even if I was going through chemo, even if I'm, going
Mhm.
through those rough days, I'm still seeing how beautiful it is to be alive. So, what I was also realizing from my early days as a gymnast, I grew up in a culture where it was train, train, train. You're only good when you're perfect. You're only good when you're, getting scores
Mm,
of tens. You're always looking
mhm,
to achieve and perform and prove. And I didn't develop any kind of compassion or self-love. I was very critical.
mm,
I was very judgmental. I am not good enough unless I am achieving. So I realized that that was something I needed to heal and forgive and to
mhm,
stop. And I made a promise, like I am going to go on that self-love journey and
mm,
really honor just being alive, that I'm worth being alive, and that is all I need to do. Just be a good person, and everybody else loves me, so why can't I love me? So I learned that loving my cancer cells was part of loving me. So
mm,
I wasn't fighting what was happening. I was allowing it to change me. I learned the power of gratitude, gratitude for every day, for everything that I had, the support, the family, the husband, the dog, the friends, the cup of coffee, And then
mhm,
just the trust in my treatment, my doctors, and that this cancer diagnosis is the best thing to happen to me. And that's all I did. And I was cancer free in 4 months. And I'm not saying that I cured me, but I think that my attitude, along with like embracing the medicine and believing and the trusting that this was coming to me for a reason, I think it just went so quickly. Like my cancer cells were like, oh, she's got this. She's got this. We can go now. We're healed.
mm,
We'll leave her alone because she got the message. So that inspired me. If these are superpowers that we all have, then we all have this power to live our best lives whatever is happening, even if we're going to die, even if we're not going to make it through, we're still able to appreciate every day that we have.
What was that moment like when the doctor told you 4 months in that you were cancer free? Were you kind of, do you remember that moment? I can't imagine you not having that moment kind of just imprinted in your heart, but what
Well,
happened at that point?
I remember what was really powerful was this. I had 6 rounds of chemotherapy before anything, so I started with chemo. After the first 3 rounds, I remember before going into my checkup, sitting with myself just in a meditation and just like sending gratitude and love to my huge tumor that I felt, the density, and feeling like it start to dissolve. Like it was almost like I saw it breaking up and dissolving.
Wow.
And I went to my checkup and he, physically checks me. He's like, I can't find any of your tumors. Where are they? And I was like, I don't know, doctor. I'm just like, I'm loving everything. I'm finding gratitude. But it was his reaction, like, oh my God, where are they? That was like the best feeling in the world. And then when I found out I was cancer free, it was almost like a knowing,
You
So it
just
was
knew.
like I just knew. I wasn't expecting to have a pathology report say that there was any cancer left. But of course, hearing they couldn't find any cancer left was, I mean, amazing, amazing. But I also was like, do I still have to finish all the treatment? And they're like, yeah. So
Wow. Well, at least you did. So that was what, 8 years ago? Was that
yeah,
right? How many years?
2017. 2017.
2017. So walk the audience through where you've been in the past stage since that moment you got cancer free to what you've been doing,
Yeah.
because
It's
I think your life has transformed in
yeah,
what you're
it's
doing and how
funny.
you're serving.
So many things. So when I was living through stage 4 cancer, it was almost like I was being charged by so much like energy and passion and just desire to share this powerful lesson of love, right? It sounds so cheesy, but I felt like love is my superpower. And I want to spread love in some way and share what I'm learning and also figure out a way to get back to cancer research and my doctors and scientists all at UCLA that are saving my life. So I had a friend, this was after my third round of chemo. I was started a company during chemo because I had a friend who had a bag in her closet that said love. And it was a tote bag. And I was like, this is so awesome. I can figure out a way to do a chemo bag that says love, that reminds every patient that they have a choice to choose love when they're going into treatment or just anything in their day. And every bag sold will give back to UCLA's Johnson Cancer Center Foundation. So that was the seed that was planted. And then I was like, okay, how do I do that? And then, you find in your community who does what. And I had so many amazing friends come together that, like, oh, my friend, can get these bags done. And my friend can do the yoga logo. And, everybody came together. And what was very cool also is that my cancer was called triple negative, which is considered the most aggressive type of breast cancer. And triple negative also sounds like a horrible something, it's so negative. It's
Hmm.
triple negative. I was like, how do I use this term to make the company's name? And it was just like zero negative. Like zero
Hmm.
negative is that there is no negative, it's all experience and it's all a gift. So
Mm.
the company, yeah, started out as, zero negative, and it became an accessory company that was intentional accessories. So you're choosing to buy something that spreads love and that gives back. And from that, we founded a foundation because one of the things when I was a patient going through treatment, I would get gifts from random friends, random people, texts, cards, things that made me feel so supported and loved. I always like felt like I was on my back, and people were carrying me through this journey. And
Mm,
and I felt like I how important it is for a patient to receive comfort and care, support, prayers, something where they don't feel alone. And
mhm,
the Zero Negative Foundation was formed with that one intention of ending loneliness and inspiring healing amongst
mm,
cancer patients going through treatment.
mm,
So, from there, I also, during COVID, wanted to write a book about my experience. And my husband, Larry, was like, well, what about my experience? Like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I had a big experience. I was the caregiver. I was like, wow, you're so right. Caregivers never get the attention. So we wrote a book together called Everyone Needs a Larry because it's kind of
mhm,
honoring the caregiver's journey, and it's written with two perspectives, the patient side, me, and the caregiver side, him. And it was sort of how we navigated our life through love, marriage, and stage 4 cancer, and all the mistakes, all the lessons, everything we learned, and everything we can kind of like give to another couple, like this is how we did it. Hopefully you can find some inspiration, some like things of what could help you become better through this horrible chapter that nobody wants to go through, but we're being picked to go through this.
So you wrote the book, you started the foundation, you started the accessory company, and I got to meet you at the end of last year
Yes.
when a mutual friend introduced us, and you came to the Authentic Imprint Accelerator, which is all about authentic imprint is what is your personal brand in an authentic way. And I loved that you scored so high on mission. The formula for authentic imprint is strengths, like what are your talents, plus your core values, plus your mission, times emotional recognition. And anybody can take it now. You just go on to danawilliamsco.com and look for authentic imprint, and you can take the assessment. It's free. It takes 3 minutes. And so we had everybody take it at the beginning of the class and see where they were. You just hit it off the charts in purpose and mission. And I can tell from the work that you've done on yourself, but I could also tell that you had some other work you wanted to do. And that was unlocking all of those unique talents and using them every day to run your foundation, to lead a team, all those things. Were there some moments in when from taking the assessment to after taking the assessment? I know your strengths, you didn't know your strengths before you took the assessment. So, what
Well,
did your strengths help you do?
uh, well, it helps me. I would have never thought empathy is a strength, uh, but that's like my number one strength. So it's interesting because that's kind of naturally how I show up in my relationships. Like I really want to connect, I want to understand, I want to not ever make you feel worse. I want to understand what you're
Hmm.
going through and try to help. And I just thought that was just kind of like a personality thing, whatever. But like I kind of love knowing that it's a strength and something that I can lean into when I'm making decisions, especially with the nonprofit. Because I think just in general, a nonprofit, we want to do something good in the world. We want to help an issue that needs, being helped. So I feel so much empathy and care, especially for cancer patients. And as
Mm.
we evolve into families and caregivers, giving them the support and uh, just maybe even like microfunding. We're going to set up some retreats, giving them a retreat and a
Mm.
community that makes them feel seen, heard, and loved and supported. That is basically coming from my number one strength, which is empathy. So it's kind of cool to, yeah, see that.
See that. And empathy feels the room like you could go into any room and just feel how different people are feeling. It's just a natural gift you have, and you've probably had it your whole life. You just
Yeah.
didn't realize it. What was interesting to me was to hear your your origin story and being a gymnast training for the Olympics, and how it was about being perfect and being good and working hard and getting a 10 every day, but you hadn't really found that unique self on you. So it sounded like turning the empathy on you
Hmm.
through that experience. And after that experience of the cancer, and then looking back and being able to put, a lot of times we think our talents are for us to use on others, but they're also for us to use on
Oh,
ourselves.
it's so true. It's like we can be our own therapist just by knowing our
Yes.
strengths. Because I also
Yes.
look at our bodies are like our companies, our enterprises. You know what I mean? And our body
Yes.
and spirit all together. We are the ones leading this entire like universe. And
And
so, yes, I
and
totally.
look how you loved your tumor. That was
I
empathy.
my cancer cells for like. And what I learned most is that, like, okay, we have the ability, like, we have a culture that we grow up in to fight cancer and battle it and win.
Hmm.
And we're supposed to be warriors, and like, that's considered really strong. But my whole idea of self-love was like, if I'm fighting and resisting and hating my cancer cells that are a part of me, that just seems like then I'm not taking in all of me, you know? And what if these
Hmm.
cancer cells are like these teenagers that never got the love that they needed as a kid? You know, they've
Hmm.
experienced trauma and they were shamed and they were not perfect and now they're misbehaving. And like a teenager kind of needs maybe more love and understanding and care and support.
Hmm.
So that's sort of the freedom that I love sharing with patients. You can choose how you want to look at cancer. You don't have to fight it if you want to. That's amazing. You're in
Hmm.
charge. But the story that filled my heart and filled me to make me want to live through cancer and not be miserable was I'm going to love them and I'm going to try to
Hmm.
understand them and I'm going to look for these little teenagers to give me, what I need to learn. And that just filled me with purpose.
And Jen,
Yeah.
did somebody tell you that, or did you just come up with that on your own, just from self
No, it just
development?
just I mean, I think I'm, a thinker and I love learning and growing and I'm
Hmm.
curious. And I
Hmm.
also kind of just was common sense. If I'm hating these or fighting them, it doesn't feel loving.
Mm.
And I know that I want to love myself. And so it was a common sense thing. And it was also like, it just felt better. It felt better to love them.
Tell us about the other strengths that were right behind that after empathy that you discovered and unlocked through the authentic imprint
Well,
assessment.
connectedness, which is a huge one too, because I started looking at cancer. I mean, I didn't know the strengths then, but when I looked at cancer, it was like you're not aligned with your true self, which is, if I was living feeling like not worthy and not good enough, then I'm truly not really aligned with my heart, right? And if
Hmm.
I'm less than everybody else, then I wasn't connected to myself.
Hmm.
So connectedness is one of it's my second strength. And
Hmm.
also, if I think about it, like it's so important to me, like in my relationship, if I don't feel connected to my husband, there just life isn't as good,
Hmm.
if I don't feel connected to what I'm doing, or if I'm stressed or something, like it's just something isn't right. So it's definitely a strength.
And connectedness definitely accepts mystery, which you were like, I don't know where these cancer cells came from, but I'm going to love them. It's just accepts mystery, and just that everything happens for a reason. So you
Yeah.
quickly shifted your mindset, it sounds like,
Yeah.
as things were
Yeah.
happening.
And curiosity, which is curiosity a strength? Because I didn't have that as a strength, but I feel like I'm very curious.
It's part of your strategic thinking talents, which are like learner and intellection, and you've got futuristic, which is really high.
Yeah.
So people with high futuristic are curious. What would this look like? You were probably already thinking 3 years out of what this ministry or what this whole nonprofit's going to do. Um,
Yeah, it's interesting because I love believing that, if I can touch almost every cancer patient out there, like maybe, I can shift lives, and inspire more healing by doing that. And also the importance of just showing up every day, like for the present moment,
mhm.
and being in the flow. Because I could imagine exactly what I want to imagine, but it might not be exactly what's going to happen. Maybe something is better,
Mhm.
So it's having the future mission and dream, but also showing up every day, like with presence and just curiosity, empathy, connectedness.
Right. And
Yeah.
when you look at all those, that's the beginning of your authentic imprint, what we call flywheel, because a flywheel is something you do a little bit every day, and then it gives you the energy and momentum to keep going. And
Yeah.
so when we look at the core values, when you kind of looked at your core values and started really thinking about your core values, what popped to the top for you?
Love. Love the
Mm-hmm.
value. A
Yeah.
lot of the core values I felt like I couldn't pick because they all
Mm-hmm.
seem so important. But gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
generosity, trust,
Mm-hmm.
integrity, uh,
And love. And that's the
growth,
name of your
love. Yeah, that's the name of
yeah.
the yeah,
Yeah.
love negative. So, and that was a superpower, I think, that exists within us all, you know.
When we worked on mission, what came out for you? Was there anything new that came? I know you're very mission driven, but when we worked on mission individually and then shared as a group, what came up for you there?
Well, I wrote down like the exact sentence that I used in your template because you had us fill out in a template you gave, which I thought was really helpful. Because I always like a tagline was always turning negatives into positives because that's sort of like what turning triple negative into zero negative. There is no negative.
Hmm.
There's only, positive. I exist to turn negatives into positives by igniting self love, ending loneliness, and inspiring healing for those navigating cancer and life's hardest chapters through empathy, presence, humor, and lived wisdom. So I think that other tagline, the through empathy, presence, humor, and lived wisdom, was kind of also inspired by the class, because like
Hmm.
how do I have a mission and how do I get to that mission? So
And then
again,
being able to say that,
yeah,
and live
yeah.
it out.
Yeah, there's a lot of clarity that came out of your class was exactly what I wanted because it just like even so I'm doing this TED talk. There's so much I want to say, but I have to be clear and like there's
Hmm.
one idea and I have to figure out this talk with, one clear idea. So, it was very helpful. Yeah.
The last part of the authentic imprint is the emotional recognition. What came up for you there?
I have to pull that up because that is something.
Yeah, it's just like when we stop performing and start being who we really are. And you're early in your life, you were probably performing a lot with
Yes.
gymnastics.
Yes.
Uh, you are also an actress, so you know how to perform, right? So
Hmm.
when the real Jen comes out, which we saw in class a lot, you are out there just saying just what you shared of your mission and who you are and what you want to do. Um, so what does that feel like day to day for you now?
Um, I think I'm always someone that wants to be uh, with purpose, with meaning,
Hmm.
and giving what I can, giving back, and also growing.
Hmm.
Every day, I want to do something that feels growthful towards the entire mission. Um, so and it fills me, it's not like homework. It's not like, oh, I have to. It's like I feel the best when I feel productive, when I feel like aligned,
Hmm.
when I feel like, I love journaling. So even just waking up and getting into my journaling for the day is just feels good. It feels like I'm doing me. I'm connecting to me. I'm connecting to all my thoughts, good, bad, whatever. I'm just connecting to be able to start the day.
There's that connection again.
Here's the
I
connection.
love it. I love it. Well, and I think emotional recognition is something, and I went through it last month with my stepfather having to go into memory care and all that we had to do for a whole month around that. But every day, just being able to, whether you're having some kind of emergency or you're having just day-to-day stuff at work, being able to assess where you are first thing in the morning, like you said, journaling, whatever that is,
Yeah.
meditation, and being able to name it and figure out, okay, what am I feeling right now and what do I want to feel and what is my authentic, what, how do I'm showing up with my purpose and how do I adjust before I go into that meeting or go into
Mhm.
that surgery or you're getting ready to have knee surgery, all the things that happen, and there's just emotions that happen. And I think it's really the voice of our heart speaking when we get into those emotions. So it's just learning how to manage them throughout the day and not feel like something's wrong, but being able to stop and pause, name
Yeah.
them,
Well, I mean,
and go.
the pause is powerful for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
also not feeling kind of like the emotions are anything that should not exist. I mean, being a human being, we're going to have emotions. And it's almost like as a gymnast, I learned how not to cry. So I had to actually learn how to
Mm,
cry as a human being and an adult. And now, like, if I am crying, I'm actually so happy about it because it makes me feel like I can feel all my feelings when there was a
isn't that
time that
great?
I couldn't, you know? So I think,
Mm,
and I still obviously have bad days, and you're right, like we're human
mm-hmm.
beings, but I kind of have stopped judging them, even though the other day I woke up thinking I'm not doing enough because I was just like feeling anxious that, I had a couple slow days and then it makes me think, what am I not doing? And then I'm like, okay, there's that voice. It's just like that habitual voice that
Mm-hmm.
formed as a kid that's still there, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to ruin my day. I'm going to be like, oh, hey, what's going on? Hi, there you are again. You know,
And then being able to name your strengths or your core values or your mission and say,
yeah.
here's what I've been made to do today when you're
Mhm.
having those bad times and think about that. So what would you tell somebody else right now that might be relating to your story? What is what would you want them to know if they're recognizing themselves in your before? What would be
Well,
the encouragement that you'd want to share with them?
kind of like we were talking about before, where, we're all these like walking universes around, and we're the ones in charge of our universe. And if you feel like you're living in a chapter that's really challenging or hard, you can kind of create a meaning around the challenge where you don't feel like a victim or like you're being punished
Mm-hmm.
or like you're being like, why do I have to go through this? Like you can change the narrative and just be like, find a way to kind of make yourself feel better about going through it. Like this is going to
Mm-hmm.
make me learn this superpower that I never knew that I had. Or I'm going to be wiser from this.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I get to go through this because after this, there's going to be something uncovered I never would have realized. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
becoming the heroes in our own stories.
Mm,
And we have
absolutely.
the ability to write out the chapters that we want to live.
So you have a lot ahead of you. Some really exciting things, a little bump in the road with your surgery, but some exciting things ahead, the TED Talk and the growth of your foundation and the growth of your accessory company and what you're doing with that. What's one thing on your mind right now that you want to apply to the authentic imprint to? Just one thing.
I would say to keep leaning into the mission driven. imprint that is about ending loneliness and
Mm.
creating support and community and I guess connectedness.
Yeah. So when
Yeah.
you face those rough moments when you've got to go ask for fundraise or do something
I
hard
appreciate
that's
that. Yeah.
not your natural talent, which one of your talents are you going to use to help you do that? To go raise for or one of your core values that you can use in combination with your mission to do that. When things get hard, it's our mission that drives us, but what are the tools underneath that that can help you with your core values and your strengths? Which one of
I
your
think
strengths do you think?
I think it's empathy for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Um, Connectedness
Mm-hmm.
and futuristic.
Yeah,
And it's what I've learned with the fundraising because it's not for me anymore. This is
that's
for
right.
other people. And if I can share my personal story as a way of like, this is how I want to help people, and what I know helped me. So it has to help other people. If it helped me, and
Mm-hmm.
um, then they can get behind the mission. And if they want to make the world a little bit better place.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is I don't have to look at it as that I've got to go raise some money. It's like I get to go tell my story and I get to share my heart with others so that I can end this loneliness and this world of feeling
Yeah,
afraid of
kind of like
cancer.
connecting. I can use my
Mm-hmm.
connectedness strength to
Mm-hmm.
connect other founders, not founders, but sponsors and donors and connecting, uh, building community is basically
Yeah,
using that strength.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
Jen, what a story you have. I can't wait to hear TED Talk and hope to be in the audience when you're here in
Oh, it's
Texas
so fun. I
this
can't wait
summer.
to practice.
I
Yeah.
know. That's so fun. And why don't you tell the audience where they can purchase or learn about your nonprofit,
Okay.
purchase
So
goods?
the foundation is called the Zero Negative Foundation, and the website is zeronegativefoundation.org. And right now it's set up for giving chemo love totes. We call them. They're tote bags that say love, and they're filled with some items that support patients through treatment. But we raise money by donations through that site. So, and we have a fundraiser every
Awesome.
year that won't be until November. But yeah,
Okay.
I would love
That's
support.
That's awesome. And if this story reached out to you and you want to find out more about yourself, just like Jen already knew a lot and had done a lot of the work and was really high on her mission, but she uncovered some things that have really helped her be aware of these next steps, getting ready for the TED Talk and the fundraising and all those things. So just look for the link in the show notes. It takes less than 3 minutes to take the assessment, and you can see where you need to focus first. Um, and then if Jen's story moved you, The Internal Revolution is available now. The book was written for leaders just like Jen, who, and exactly like you, that somebody that wants to make a difference in the world and wants to unlock all those amazing talents. So, Jen,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing your story today. We just so loved hearing what a difference you're making in the world and
My
can't
pleasure. I'm
wait
so
to.
glad I took your class. It was so helpful and just to meet you. So that
Well,
was
nice to meet you
amazing.
too. Well, great. Well, thank you so much. And we can't wait to hear and see what happens a year from now. It's going to be exciting.
I can't wait either.